morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Please have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Sanketh.
Yes, sir.
Sanketh, why do you spell your name with a H?
Sir, there is a convention in the southern part of India that
Okay.
we spell it like that.
And then there is another thing which is striking me. I have a number of people known to me with a surname Ajmera.
Yes, sir.
Either they are followers of Jain religion or they belong to Rajasthan. So how come you are in Telangana?
Yes, sir. Sir, I come from a community, a tribal community called the Banjaras.
Okay.
And they have, the Banjaras are spread out in various regions of the country and have their origins in the state of Rajasthan.
Right.
During the medieval
So that explains it. That explains it. Very good. I noticed something very interesting in your DAF. See, you are. Have you completed your masters?
Yes, sir, I have.
But you started your masters in December 21 and you completed it in May 21. How is that possible?
Sir, I think it was December 2018, sir.
No, it's 27th. Date of joining is 27th of December 2021 and likely date of completion is 19th of May 2021.
Sir, in that case, I think I have written it by mistake. I have not looked at it.
Yes, that is what it appears to be.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'll rectify that with the commission.
No issues. When you say perfect 10,
yes, sir.
What are the other places where this term is used? One obviously is for academics. Yes. Somewhere else also the perfect 10 is used.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to.
Have you heard the name of Nadia Comaneci or somebody? Gymnast, Russian gymnast.
Sorry, sir, I haven't heard of it. I will look into it.
She participated in the Olympics and she was known for scoring perfect 10s.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know, sir.
You've done your BTech from IIT Delhi.
Yes, sir.
Right, and then you went to Daikin.
Yes, sir.
With which product range of Daikin were you associated?
Sir, I was associated with the design of air conditioners. Especially, I was working to increase the efficiency of the compressors.
Mm-hmm.
And
what type of compressors?
Sir, I worked on scroll compressors, which is an innovative type of compressor that was designed by Daikin, known for its higher efficiency.
Okay. What kind of efficiency advantage does this compressor give?
Sir, the efficiency advantage it gives is because of the fact that the scroll compressor does not have reciprocating parts. It has only circular moving parts, so that increases the life and also the efficiency. Okay.
But then even a rotary compressor would not have any reciprocating parts, no?
Yes, sir.
So how is a rotary compressor different from a scroll compressor?
Yes, sir. Sir, rotary compressor, we can say that a scroll compressor is an advanced evolution of the rotary compressor. In rotary compressor, we have different areas where hot and cold areas are allocated. But here, the distribution of temperature is much more even compared to the other compressors, so that there is not much temperature difference that happens within the compressor. So that increases the life in itself.
No, you mentioned about achieving higher efficiency.
Yes.
My original question was, what is that efficiency advantage that you get by way of the scroll compressor design that you talked about?
Yes, sir. So, sir, depending upon the type of compressor, we have efficiencies increased by 10 to 15%.
10 to 15%?
Yes, sir.
We are comparing it with rotary compressor, or are we comparing it with the reciprocating?
Sir, in comparison with the reciprocating compressor.
Okay, sir. Okay, that's great. But then what is the economic disadvantage in terms of cost?
Yes, sir. Sir, the cost here is mainly accrued to the manufacturing cost, because we need to manufacture it using a single grained cast, which is difficult, and we cannot weld two different parts to create the entire part. So that increases the cost in itself. And secondly, given the design, that is scroll, that is a very highly curvatures. There are many curvatures involved. So because of that, the machining process needs to be more precise.
But suppose we were to assign a value. Let's say we are talking about, let's just theoretically talk about maybe a 2-ton compressor or a 5-ton compressor or whatever rating you want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
What is that extra cost that is incurred in making it versus the saving that you get because of its 10% efficiency advantage. So if you were to assign a figure to the payback period,
Yes.
what is that payback period?
Sir, actually in this case there is no payback period because firstly, of course, the cost increases because of the design of the compressor, but Daikin has also combined it with a new refrigerant, that is R32. So which is also very cheaper to produce and also is efficient in itself. So this overtakes the cost of the design and manufacture of the compressor itself.
Okay. What is the latest mission of ISRO?
Sir, I would like to ask if it's something that is working on or that has
maybe recently launched or likely to launch, both the categories.
Yes, sir. Sir, recently we have had a launch of a PSLV, and we are also working on the launch of a human space flight. That is the I'm unable to recollect the name, sir.
But PSLV is something which is a generic term
Yes.
which we are using,
Yes, sir.
which ISRO has been using. So, which specific version of PSLV are you referring to?
Sir, I'm referring to PSLV C version. That is the commercial version.
So, what is the payload that it can handle?
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recollect at this point.
No problems. My last question.
Yes, sir.
Which is the smallest number which can be divided by the first 10 natural numbers?
Sir, I'll like a few seconds to think about it.
Maybe just the process. I mean, you don't have to give me the number.
Yes.
How would you find out?
Sir, I would just take the LCM of the first 10 natural numbers. That will be the...
So, which is the easiest way of arriving at that? Now, supposing you were to work out orally,
Yes.
So how would you proceed?
Sir, I will take a prime factorization of all the numbers from
It's too
2
long.
to
That's
10.
too long. Will you start from 1 or will you start from 10?
I would start from 10, sir.
Okay.
And I would look at all the prime factors and take the largest number of prime factors that are appearing in each and every number itself.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sanketh, you are from Hyderabad.
Yes, sir.
How Hyderabad was annexed in Indian state?
Yes, sir. Sir, Hyderabad was annexed in the Indian state through Operation Polo. So there was a police action by the name of Operation Polo that was used to counter the forces of the Nizam of that time, and eventually it was annexed in 1948, sir.
Okay, what is the difference between when we say police action and a military action?
Yes, sir.
And was a military action or a police action in terms of Hyderabad?
Yes, sir. Sir, this was a police action, not a military action. But in this case, the difference between the police action and military action is that there is less use of force, and the fact that there are also concerns regarding the public concerns or social concerns were also raised at that point. And because of that, it was not just a military operation, but also operation that was taking into account the public concerns as well.
Okay, as we have talked about this police action and military action, our military is superior, right? Still having this military might in India possesses paramilitary as well.
Yes, sir.
So why do we need paramilitaries when we have so much sophisticated weaponized military with us?
Yes, sir. Sir, the use of paramilitary forces has multiple advantages. Firstly, the paramilitary forces can be deployed in the larger in many regions of the country.
Even army can be deployed in many regions of the country,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
There is one specific reason, that distributes between the importance of paramilitary and the army. What is that especially?
Sir, the paramilitary forces are used to maintain internal security, and the army is actually supposed to maintain the national security.
No, this is not the exact one. That's okay.
Okay.
What was Mission Shakti?
Yes. Sir, Mission Shakti was an anti-satellite mission that was launched by ISRO to destroy a satellite that was in orbit at a very high speed. So it demonstrated it took India into only to be the 4th country in the world to have an anti-satellite technology, sir.
Okay. See, recently we witnessing a financial crisis in terms of Silicon Valley Bank,
Yes,
right?
sir.
What could be the possible impact upon Indian banking structure?
Yes, sir. Sir, the direct impact will be less, but we can learn a few lessons from it. Firstly, that uh, investing a lot in a specific type of securities like the treasury bonds, like the Silicon Valley Bank did in the US, is not to be a very good approach. And secondly, there is also a lesson that we should not be investing solely in a particular sector, like the tech sector, which can have multiple phases of growth and decline itself. So these are the lessons that we can learn, sir.
So in India, has we have ever faced this kind of financial crisis?
Sir, there was an NBFC crisis where IL and FS, NBFC had actually failed due to investing in a lot of NBFCs and failure of the smaller NBFCs to repay the loans.
Okay, why does Indian economy so dependent upon foreign capital market?
Sir, firstly, given that India receives a lot of foreign investments in the form of FDI and FPI, and last year only we set a record by receiving $100 billion. That is number one. And secondly, a lot of diaspora also lives in the other countries, which send a lot of remittances.
So don't you think this over dependence upon the foreign capital market makes India prone to these these kind of risk as well associated with the collapse or other foreign branches? Rather, we should make our own capital market, right? And we should make certain policies that others would attract towards us. What is your opinion regarding this thing?
Yes, sir. I believe that we should be moving in that direction, and there are also measures that are being taken in this direction by the government as well, sir.
Okay, very good. See, let me know what is the importance of zero in administration.
So, can I take a few moments
Yeah,
to
please.
think about it? Sir, I can think of a few circumstances where zero is important. Firstly, related to policy matters, zero in many cases would be a target where administrator will try to target zero mortality rate of mothers and children as well, and there will be zero learning losses. And secondly, policy matters with increase in digital applications and digital governments, we need to move towards zero trust based policies or zero trust based cyber governance systems. And finally, I can also imagine uh, where people have zero tolerance towards any kind of mishaps in the administration. That is zero tolerance for corruption and zero tolerance for maladministration. So this is the importance of zero in my opinion, sir.
Okay, you are from Telangana, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me know 5 tribal movements from Indian independence period, pre-independence, I would say.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'll take a few
Please.
seconds to think about it. Sir, only related to Telangana, sir, or pan India?
I said South India.
Sir, I can think of a few rebellions. That is, firstly, there was a Gond rebellion in Telangana, in the district of Adilabad. Then there was a Koya rebellion also, which was led by Sammaka Saraka. That is also celebrated today. Then we have also tribal movements during the peasant rebellion against the Nizams before the Operation Polo was conducted. And sir, I can only think of these
Yes,
at this
very
time,
good.
sir.
See, my last question to you.
Yes, sir.
Suppose I'm not going to ask you any question now, right? Because
Okay.
I'm done asking.
Yes.
And you have been quite articulated in terms of giving me some certain answers.
Yes.
So, what is the first thing comes to your mind if I'm not going to ask you a question now?
Sir, the first thing that comes to my mind is that you are currently evaluating my performance not just based on my answers, but also how I'm framing my answers, and also based on how my thinking process is. So you're also evaluating me other than my articulations.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Hello, Sanketh. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am.
Okay, you were talking about the tribal movements, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly are DNTs, denotified tribes?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the denotified tribes are those tribes which have been denotified by the denotified from the Habitual Offenders Act that was there in place during the British times. So they were actually termed as criminal tribes as part of the Criminal Tribes Act before the independence, and that the government had basically taken away that particular act, and therefore those tribes who were deemed as criminal tribes are now deemed as denotified tribes.
But do you think there is actual decriminalization process that has happened of tribal communities, or do you think that they are still wrongly convicted or accused of many of the social problems
Yes,
in the country?
ma'am. To a large extent, many of the denotified tribes were actually given recognition as a part of the society by deeming them as either scheduled tribes or scheduled castes or other weaker sections of the society. However, there continue to be some communities as being a part of Habitual Offenders Act, which was passed after the independence. So the community-based recognition of some people as offenders or crimes is continuing, but at the same time, in the last few years, there have been measures to counter that as well, ma'am.
For example?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the recent budget, there was a mission that was proposed called the Pradhan Mantri PVTG mission, PVTG Development Mission, and these. Sorry, ma'am. Actually, I was referring to the denotified tribes mission, not the PVTG mission, which actually aims at recognizing those tribes which are left out in the process of recognition and trying to take developmental activities to them. So this
There's
was one of the
also
measures.
been a controversy recently of what do you call the tribal community? You know, this Moolvasi, Adivasi versus Vanvasi debate.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you throw some light on this?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there has been debate about whether referring to the tribes as Adivasi or Vanvasi. So
what's the politics behind it?
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Vanvasi rivers, if we call them Vanvasi, then we are referring to the fact that most of them are living or coming from the forests. And if we are calling them Adivasi, then it has the connotation that these are the early invaders who have come to in India in the ancient times. So, in my opinion, I believe that both of these terms do not actually bring justice to the entirety of the tribal communities in India. And
does Adivasi indicate invaderness, like invading the whole idea, or about the indigenous relationship with the land?
Yes, ma'am. That is actually the point of contention that is being happening, because some people are referring to it as invaders and the others are saying that these are the original inhabitants.
Which term do you subscribe the most with? Like, you think is more acceptable?
Ma'am, I think both of them do not do justice, and whatever we have in the constitution, that is the Janjatis, or Anusuchit Janjatis, is the right term to defer to these tribes, ma'am.
Okay. You've some association with ISRO.
Yes, ma'am. My mother works there.
Okay. What is this NISAR mission?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, NISAR or NASA ISRO Space Aperture Radar Mission is a satellite technology that has been jointly developed by NASA and ISRO, which has the capability to precisely remote sense a lot of geographical and climatic features that are happening on the surface of the Earth. So the advantage of this particular mission is that we can increase the precision and also have near real time mapping of the geophysical phenomena that are happening on the surface of the Earth.
Sanketh, you would like you're from Hyderabad, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Hyderabad as a cyber city versus Bangalore as an IT hub.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the key differences that you can bring out in the two cities as tech capitals of India?
Ma'am, in my limited understanding, I can think of two differences. Firstly, regarding the administration of these two areas, in Hyderabad, there is a separate administration of Cyber City, and they have created a separate region called Cyberabad for the administration. So that's one particular difference. And secondly, I believe that the Cyber City in Hyderabad is a lot more diverse than the Cyber City in Bangalore, because a lot of new age developments are happening in Hyderabad. That is, it's not just focusing on the IT industry, but also other areas such as the pharma sector, such as the gaming and animation sector, and other areas as well. So these are the two differences I can think of, ma'am.
Okay. Recently, Narayan Murthy called VC model of investment a Ponzi scheme, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar about this?
I have read briefly about it.
Because again, we were talking about the IT sector and again, new tech and how startups are coming in.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what is this VC model and what is this relation with a Ponzi scheme connotation?
Ma'am, the VC or the venture capitalist scheme is a type of investment strategy where there will be some investors who have, or high net worth individuals who invest in a lot of newer enterprises or startups that are coming up. And the Ponzi scheme is a kind of a pyramid scheme in which a person at the top keeps investing in number of people in a kind of a pyramidal fashion, in a kind of a triangular fashion. So if the bottommost level fails in a Ponzi scheme, then the whole structure of the scheme collapses. So because of some slowdowns in the tech industry and failure of some startups, I believe Mr. Narayan Murthy was referring to this as not a sustainable model in the long run.
Okay, my last question, Sanketh, since you have excelled in the field of studies in technology,
Yes,
and you also have a patent in your name.
Yes,
So what is the reason that why you are not thinking of a career, either having your own startup or in this research and development field, excelling and doing better?
Yes,
Why civil services service this career path?
Yes, ma'am. I have thought of this during my master's, ma'am. And the reason I wanted to do civil services is that I have seen that by doing research will test my scientific and intellectual capability, but civil services will test my entire attitudes and a range of personality in entirety. And secondly, with civil services, I'll have the diversity of opportunities and the ability to work at the ground level with people. And all of this is driven by the fact that, ma'am, because both of my parents have been government servants, since childhood I've been inspired by both of their work and wanted to do good work for the public in the long run itself, ma'am. So these are the reasons.
Do you think a tech entrepreneur cannot serve a wider public?
Yes, ma'am, they definitely can serve a wider public, but this gives me, the civil services will give me a good amount of responsibility at a young age and a diverse set of opportunities that I have actually prioritized in my life, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sanketh,
Sir.
picking from your answers only.
Yes.
3 steps you would like to take to make things happen on the ground. For example, from the lab to land initiative.
Yes.
You have to be an administration and you have to bring the lab to land.
Yes.
What you will do? It should be innovative.
Sir, because I come from a scientific background, I would like to depend a lot on the data. So my first step would be to survey and collect data on whatever is the ground reality or the problem that I'm aiming at. And secondly, to design solutions based on the involvement of stakeholders, which today can be done in both offline and online as well. And finally, I could also like to design a more data-driven feedback mechanism so that whatever action is being taken on the ground can both be monitored and also be driven in such a direction which can yield better results. So these are the things I can think of, sir.
Since you worked in this AC segment, if you were to suggest me one AC that is opt for this size room,
yes, sir.
So which brand you will go with and what model?
Sir, I would suggest for this particular room, I would suggest a 1.5 ton capacity of air conditioner, that is a split air conditioner, and I would suggest any air conditioner which has the best star rating, whichever is available in the market, and one should also consider other factors that apart from efficiency, it also has good materials that have been used, that is pure copper that is being used in the system. So these are some of the things I would suggest.
What is R32?
Sir, R32 is a refrigerant whose formula is CH2F2, which is a refrigerant which has very less greenhouse effect on the greenhouse, but also has a greater efficiency compared to the traditional refrigerants like R410A.
Okay. Why India recently banned few refrigerants? Are you aware of?
Yes. Sir, this was in response to the amendment of the Kigali Protocol that seeks to ban the hydrofluorocarbons, which have a greater effect on the which have effect in the climate change, in the sense that they increase the temperature of the surface of the earth. So banning of
How the process is actually, how those refrigerant,
Pardon, sir, I could not.
how this like particulate matter affect the temperature of the earth?
Yes, sir. Sir, particular matter, especially particles like black carbon, they do absorb a lot of heat from the atmosphere and increase the surface temperature.
Okay. What is the process we call?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall at this point, sir.
How many landlocked states are there in India?
Sir, I'm not sure whether it is 2 or 3, sir, at this point.
Okay. Is Telangana a landlocked state?
Yes, sir, it is a landlocked.
So we often hear about the disadvantage of having a landlocked territory. What
Yes.
are the advantages? 3.
Sir, I will have to think about it, sir. I'm unable to think at this
No
point.
problem. Telangana is in news recently for good or bad reasons. Obviously, ED is one of the reasons.
Yes.
So, can you tell me if in going by the recent trend, do you think ED is like new caged parrot for the government of the day?
Sir, I would not say that ED is a cage parrot, because the enforcement directorates takes those cases into investigation which are predicate offences. That is, these offences have already been taken up by some other investigation agency like the police force. So I would not believe that ED is a cage parrot. And secondly, I believe that there should be more transparency in the way in which these cases are being taken up, sir.
Okay. What's your take on recent decision by the Supreme Court on the Election Commission of India?
Yes, sir. Sir, the recent order by the Supreme Court was in the nature of the election of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners as well. And in this case, the Supreme Court was trying to fill a constitutional vacuum that there was in respect of appointment of these Chief Election Commissioner, that the Parliament has not yet made the law. So the Supreme Court was responding to a PIL in this case, and I believe it had done a good job in reminding the Parliament that there needs to be a act that needs to be.
Okay. Of late, there is a criticism of the judiciary in India that they are working as a super chambers. Fine. So, do you think this judiciary is overstepping its constitutional mandate?
Sir,
And itself, they are not reforming their own NAJC kind of the thing.
Yes. Sir, I do believe that judiciary is not overstepping, because along with the fact that legislature and executive have some responsibility, judiciary also has some responsibility to ensure justice to the people. And in the recent cases, whether it was during the corona pandemic or in the recent judgment regarding the election commission, it was only trying to fill the vacuums that were there and in the nature of the larger public interest. So I believe it was not stepping out of it. But at the same time, as you mentioned, sir, there are some reforms that are also needed in the judiciary within itself as well, sir.
Okay, so what are those reforms beside NAJC?
Yes, sir. Sir, firstly, regarding the collegium system, that should be more transparent based on how the appointments or transfers are made. And Secondly, there needs to be lesser pendencies and lesser number of vacancies, as we are witnessing a huge number of pendencies, like 5 crore pendencies have
5 crore.
yes sir, in all the courts combined. And
I believe it's a 3.5.
sir, it has increased in the last year, sir.
Okay.
And vacancies are also very high. In fact, in high courts, it is nearly 40%. So that is also something that needs to be reduced. And finally, the judicial pronouncement also needs to be made more accessible to the common people, so that plain language judgments and judgments in mother tongues are also needed to be taken up, sir. These are some of the reforms that judiciary also needs.
Is there any step pertaining to e-courts in recent budget?
Yes.
Any allocation?
Sir, there was a certain allocation within the pillar of the trust-based governance, but I'm not sure how much was allocated at this point, sir.
Telangana, there are news of resurgence of Naxal movement again, particularly in the Godavari area.
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell me the reason?
Sir, the Naxalism in Telangana is actually restricted to one particular district, that is Bhadradri Kottagudem district. But the fact that this district forms at the tri-junction between Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Odisha, and also the fact that this region is covered by dense amount of forests, give a space for Naxals to actually increase their activities, and also that there are a lot of there is a dearth of development also compared to other regions of Telangana in this particular area. So these factors have been contributing to a resurgence of Naxalism.
Okay. My last question to you. You have maths as your optional.
Yes, sir.
In present day India, if you have to add, you have to subtract, multiply and divide something. So what are those factors you will cater?
Sir, can you please repeat the question again, sir?
In present day India, you will have to add something.
Yes, sir.
You have to subtract something, divide something and multiply something.
Yes, sir.
So what you will go with?
Sir, I will add a lot of women to the workforce.
Women to the workforce. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to add that. And I would like to subtract a lot of social and economic inequalities. And I would like to multiply our economy by taking into the factor of our demographic dividend. And can I take a few seconds to think about the last one, sir? And finally, sir, I would like to divide the resources that we have among all the people in an equitable manner, sir.
Okay.
So these are the things I can think of.
Great.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Again,
sir.
your interview is over.